Your audio is open.
Oh,
Hello and welcome to Guns and Yellow Ribbons Live. I'm Fergus and I am your host. Tonight I'm joined by, there's only two of us on tonight because unfortunately Johnny from the North Bank has got Delhi Belly and he's not very, very well. I'm joined by Potsy. Potsy, how are you?
Hello, mate. How you doing? All well, thank you, buddy.
Yeah?
Yeah, all good,
Uh,
mate. I'm looking forward to it tonight.
We've got quite a lot to talk about. We're going to talk
Yeah.
about the Forest game. Obviously, this was a few days ago. You were at that. We're going to talk about the United game. And Mike, Scunny, you were at that one. We're going to bring you in on that. We're going to look ahead to the game on tomorrow night against Standard Liège, and obviously we've got Bournemouth as well, which will be covered obviously either in a preview show or we'll touch on it slightly here. Mike, how are you, mate?
I'm good, and I don't think you can count, mate. There's three of us, not two of us.
I'm joined by two others, is what I meant.
You
Listen,
said there's only two of us tonight.
okay, my apologies. And I should, in fairness, I should be very specific. I've just spent 2 days in a seminar room with a lawyer talking about various aspects of law and consumer law. So yeah, so if my brain is frazzled a little bit, please forgive me. And my internet is not great, so there is a slight delay on my on all of our feeds of it, but you'll get the gist of what things are going on. Listen, there's some catching up bits I want to do. I want to wish Johnny well. Also, Teza from the Clock End Talk. I've been following him on the GoFundMe thing that his wife and his sister-in-law, so there's Jodie and Debbie, his sister-in-law, have been keeping us updated. Teza is getting better. He's been in hospital now for 20 days. And he has he's now up and walking. He's still got some fluid around his heart. He's still in quite a bad way, but he's able to talk. He's done a little YouTube video to people and stuff. So we wish him well. They're trying to raise some money. To cover the cost, because listen, we don't have in Australia, they don't have the same thing as we got here with the NHS and so on and stuff. So if you want, go on to GoFundMe. I'll stick a link on our Facebook. Well, there's a link already on our Facebook page, and there's also, if you go to Clock End Talk on Twitter, you'll be able to get a link. Chuck a five or 10 or a pound, whatever it be, towards them and help them out. It would really, really help. We've got a couple of people on there. Your mum's on, Steve. Sorry, Dan. Your mum's on. She says hi.
Oh, she is.
Yeah. You better watch your P's and Q's now.
I was thinking the same, Scunny. Basically, she's counting like Scunny and me, and you're the one who's wrong.
And Russ is also on, and there's a few others. We've got a few others on there. We have got our first sort of sponsor sort of thing. No, I'm really going to struggle with
Can't
this.
wait for this.
I'm looking forward to this. I can't
This is
wait.
going to be funny, and I don't know if Ben Hux is the bet what, but we have been asked to mention a product. It's a beard product. It's called. Let me get it up here for you. There we go. Big Bear Benny's Beard Balm. If you are watching this and you want to buy this product, it's only £3 including postage and packaging. You get a 10% discount by using the code DB10. The old Iceman. They're 100% family run. They've only been going since March. It's 100% natural, vegan, homemade beard balm. They're based solely in the UK. They've got all sorts of weird flavors, all quite fun. And they also do another thing as well with you can get socks with Benny's face on it, and you can get a beard balm in a package, and it's only 10 quid. They're all on Facebook, and everything that they offer is on includes free postage and packaging. So, Big Bear Benny's Beard Balm. Jesus. That was
took it well.
That,
You took it well.
I don't know. Listen, people will know I am the crucifier of the English language. I am absolutely dreadful at it, and I'm actually going to pat myself on the back on that one. I think I've done okay, and you guys can stop sniggering.
You did well, mate. Thought you smashed it.
You smashed it, yeah, literally.
I think you should do it 5 times faster. Come on.
Go on, you go. Go on.
What, Big Bear Bennett's beer balm?
Oh, Scunny smashed it. I'm not even going to try.
Mate, there's no messing with me.
So, Arsenal versus Nottingham Forest in the League Cup. A 5-0 victory. Before that game started, there was a really sad incident that happened on the tube at Hillingdon tube station. Tashan Daniel, he was only 20 years of age, a potential Olympic athlete as a sprinter, I believe. He sadly got stabbed and died en route, which delayed kickoff by about 15 minutes. So, Potsy, I'm going to let you talk about this a little bit because you were there and you can explain a bit more like what the atmosphere and the crowd was about.
Yeah, these are always a strange one, the League Cup games. I do enjoy going to them, I must admit, because I like to see the youngsters do well. And that's what we had out, was a load of youngsters. I think Ozil and Mustafi were the only two, really, that kind of got on the pitch, whether you like that or not. It was a bit of a sad start because everyone had obviously heard the news that delayed the kickoff. Getting up there was a bit of a nightmare. I'm not sure if that had anything to do with it either, but me and my dad struggled to get up there. My dad had drove. We ended up having to park at Black Horse Road and get the tube up to Highbury and Islington and walk to the game from there. The crowd is always a strange one. There's a lot of kids about, which is good in some ways, but what I find most frustrating is the stewards just trying to keep the atmosphere down and sit down, make sure you don't stand up, all this sort of thing. And as you know, Fergus, I don't think I remember sitting down where we sit for the last 12 years. So
only against Doncaster. That's the only time I ever sat down.
There you go. Was that in the League Cup? Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. But there we go. So that was very similar. The game, however, was fantastic. And for me, I've kind of picked out a few players. For me, the first half was all about Martinelli. I think his agility, turning defenders inside out. Obviously got on the score sheet, which was a really good header actually from the lad, and I am really excited about this lad. I saw him pre-season. He was the one lad I was excited about. A little bit quieter in the second half, but did still manage to get on the score sheet again in both halves. I did find that watching Tierney is going to be very, very, very exciting. I think Kieran Tierney gives what we're missing at the moment with Kolasinac, who everyone knows I'm not a massive fan of. I think Tierney's crossing ability is fantastic. I think he's up and down the pitch for 90 minutes. I think also what you've got with him is someone who can use both of his feet. I think he's got a right foot as well as a left foot. I think that there was some players telling me that people telling me that he can actually play on the right back position as well. And as he did that for Celtic, I think you can certainly tell that with the use of his right foot as well. So Kieran Tierney was really impressive. Rob Holding, I thought he was spot on. Absolutely superb along with Callum Chambers. I thought both of them had a fantastic game, and I think it's a shame that Emery doesn't seem to be wanting to give them two a chance at the centre-backs.
Dan,
I also feel... Go on.
Can I ask, you mentioned Ozil earlier and you also have Mustafi. Are they now just cup players?
I think so. Mustafi was certainly looking to be out the door in the summer, wasn't he? We couldn't find the club that wanted to pay him 90 grand a week, which I don't blame him for. In terms of Mesut Ozil, this is a very strange one for me. For him not to be travelling just proves that Emery doesn't want him. He is going to be a reserve player, a cup player, Europa League player, expecting to play tomorrow night. I think that with Mesut Ozil, he played against Forest and he was probably one of the weakest on the pitch, and he should be taking the game by the scruff of the neck. Joe Willock, for me, made him look very, very average. I thought Joe Willock was fantastic and he was my man of the match of the night. Great to see everybody else get on the score sheet. Reece Nelson, who I thought was having a bit of a shocking game in the first half, had a good second and got himself a goal and an assist. And it's just more exciting to watch these youngsters at the moment than the first team, in my opinion. You know, I'm looking at Thursday.
We're going to see more of that probably tomorrow night.
I think so.
It wasn't on UK TV. Mike, did you get to see the game?
No, I didn't. I just saw the highlights.
Okay, and from what you saw of the highlights, what did you make of it?
I'm just going to probably regurge exactly what Dan just said. Martinelli looked amazing from the highlights, and so did, is it Martinez in goal as well? He played a real blinder. He made some really quality saves.
Has he got a shout for a first team spot?
I don't know. I've been judgmental over Martinez. I don't know if he is going to be first team quality for the Premier League, and I just don't know. I think the jury's still out on that one for me. But if he's playing in the Europa League and he's playing in cup games, then I can't see why he shouldn't be able to push himself to it.
And Dan,
I think if Leno was having a shocking game, then fair one. But Leno's been all right this season, So if we were talking about Holding replacing Socrates, that's a different story. But I think with Martinez and Leno, I think at the moment Martinez is definitely our second choice.
And,
100%.
You mentioned like the youthful lineup that we had, and we'll probably have quite a lot of those in tomorrow night, which we'll talk about as well. Does it give you some hope, like that we're building something that's there's been a lot of stuff over the last few days over the last few weeks about the manager and stuff, and I'm not going to get into that one. But with those young players, like you got Smith Rowe, who had a good-ish game, but Martinelli had a great game. Saka had a great game, and we'll come on to the United game again. He had a really good game against United, and Mike, you're up there. You can tell us about that as well. But these youthful players are coming through. It's fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, it's the first time I've been excited for a very, very long time. In fact, I've probably, since I've been an Arsenal supporter, I can't remember young players like this coming through at the same time. You normally get one or two. You get the drips and drabs. You've had it before with Fabregas. We had it before with Jack Wilshere.
Serge
Gnabry. Sorry, I was going to fit him in it. I was building up.
I'm in my Munich national colours at the moment, because blue and white is a Munich thing, yeah.
But you're right, and I think that you've got them all coming through at the same time. My only question mark over it is they all seem to be playing in similar positions coming through. We don't have any defenders. We don't have any defensive midfielders. And what do we need at the moment? Those two positions filled.
So that's my only. We have Tierney. You got Medlin.
He's not a youth player coming through the Arsenal ranks, Tierney, is he? So I think that's what Dan was getting on at.
Yeah. I get what you mean. But you got
there's only Zach Medley in there. Zach Medley's the only one I can think of. I can't think of anyone else in those positions. But one thing I will say, but lastly, about the Nottingham Forest game, which was fantastic, was me and my dad were sitting there probably about 15 minutes to go, because obviously we were in front of everyone else, and the whole crowd started going mental. No idea why. And then someone behind me said, Colchester United have just beaten Tottenham on penalties.
There might be a running theme through today.
Sorry, are we taking the mick too much? I don't think we are.
No, we just mentioned the fact, and that leads us on to the draw. We've got Liverpool in the fifth. You
don't want them.
Is it the fourth or the fifth? It's the fourth round, isn't it? The next round of the League Cup.
Next round.
Man United have got Chelsea, so there's going to be two big hitters who are going to be out of this competition. What did you think about the draw itself? And it's up there at Anfield, 29th, 30th of October. So what do you reckon?
This is going to be a tough one. I think that you see some kids playing. I don't think much is going to change in that way in where youth teams going to be playing, but it's still going to be a tough one. I can still see it's going to be a bit of a mixture of two. But you're going to see more probably first team players playing. But everybody knows how Liverpool plays now, and look at them now. They're sitting on 21 points at the top of the Prem with no losses and no draws. So.
I was talking to some of my friends and colleagues who are Liverpool fans, and they will probably, because they've drawn us, they'll probably have a better side out than they would normally have. Better is not the right word. A more experienced side out than they normally would have. But and I think we'll do something similar. But our kids, I think, and I'm not Manchester, our kids. Our kids are probably better. That was a really crap joke. Our kids are probably better than the Scouts. Compose yourself.
Oh no.
I think you're right. I think if Liverpool play their kids and we play our kids, then I think we have got a great chance of going through. However, I don't think Liverpool will. I think they'll play a mixture. You look at Liverpool. Yeah, if you look at what Liverpool got on their bench, they've still got players like Shaqiri, Lallana, Oxlade-Chamberlain. They're all better than our kids at the moment because they're experienced and they're ready made. And ours are still learning. I think that it is a draw that I was a bit disappointed with, really, because I thought that all of these teams that had been knocked out, and obviously Man United had nearly got knocked out by Rochdale as well, and then Colchester draw Crawley, and I'm like, oh, brilliant! You know, you wanted to see Colchester against the big side. Crawley against the big side, and it didn't happen. So, yeah, but I think it'll be a good one out at Anfield and great for the young lads to experience.
Yeah, so we're going to move on to the Man United game, but before we do that, behind you, Dan, actually, one of our followers on Guns and Yellow Ribbons and one of our followers on Arsenal Fans Forum, Ruth Beck. She does. That's the East Stand at the art behind you?
Yeah, I don't know if I can do this. I don't want to mess my computer screen
don't
up too much.
Don't move it.
Can you see it?
Pictures on here.
Yeah. I got two there. Yeah, shout out to Ruth. Absolutely top draw. Really good artist. And a massive gooner. So yeah, shout out to Ruth Beck.
So Ruth has put together some. Let me see if I can do this. This is two of these in one hit. Jesus, I'm failing miserably. So Ruth has put together this. No, she hasn't put together that.
Excuse me.
I think I was better with. There we go. Slight delay on my. Right, Ruth has put together some various. She's a lady originally from Islington in North London. She does watercolors and acrylics, and in 2018 she had some surgery done to her thumb, and she's recently done some paintings, watercolors of the Thierry Henry statue, the Bergkamp statue, the big Arsenal on the you see it on Match of the Day. She's gone around to the old stadium, and she's done loads of different places all around Islington. I personally bought a couple of few bits and pieces. I bought the Canonbury pub in Islington. I bought that because it's a lot of family memories. We've had some really important special days there. And I've had some other bits and pieces. But it's really nice. She's doing Christmas cards. So those ones that you saw on there were Christmas cards. And it's for a pack of 10, it's £9.50. That includes your postage and packaging. And she's also doing little gift tags that you can add on as well. And you get a pack of 10 of them for £3.50. Listen, we as Guns and Yellow Ribbons make nothing, do nothing out of this. We are doing this because, as our strapline says, we're by Arsenal fans, for Arsenal fans. Both Ben and Ruth just asked me if I would promote their thing, so I just thought we would share the information.
Supporting local businesses.
It's not supporting Gooners. Supporting Gooners. Manchester United versus Arsenal. This one, we're on to Scunny. Scunny, how are you? And what did you make of it? Have you thawed out? Because it was.
I'm still wet, mate. I tell you, I've got trench foot. That's how it was. It was absolutely slinging it down. And well, as the people say, I'm up north, but it's still grim up north, as people say from down south.
It's even grimmer up there, isn't it?
Yeah, it's all right here at the minute at my end.
No.
Side of the country.
Manchester.
Oh, it's grim Manchester. Yeah. Oh, it's not a nice place. Borchester United.
Okay. So we looked at the lineups in this game. Man United and Arsenal played out a very grim stalemate game in Old Trafford, providing compelling evidence that it's now just how far we are away from challenging the likes of Man City and Liverpool. Like the years gone by, this was I even got excited about Monday Night Football, and it was going to be Man United, Arsenal. My brothers are both Arsenal fans. I remember we talked about it in the preview thing, the 3-1 with Barthez pulling his shorts up and stuff like that. But you know.
There's always some good hype around it, isn't there? It's one of them games that gets a really good hype.
And Sky made a huge hype about it as well. They spent the whole day pushing and plugging and everything else. But it took till 45 minutes when McTominay gave Manchester United the lead just before half time, with a rising drive from the edge of the area, which for me was probably the worst time for us to concede.
Always is on half time.
Yeah,
always is the worst.
Yeah.
Leno had a really good second half. He excelled with some fine
I thought he had a
saves.
good first half, to be fair. There wasn't much going on in the half, but he took well what he had to do. I think there was a couple of occasions where, the crowd, you didn't really hear it because I watched the game back this morning, where obviously when I know we've been very critical about playing out from the back, and you did get a lot of the fans, a lot of the Arsenal fans just saying, it's here, and screaming. And it wasn't much long after that where he's telling him to push upfield. And so it's one of them things. I think that's the only thing we can be critical of him at the minute. Other than that, it really quality saves throughout the game. But even in the first half, I think there was one, maybe two, I think he had to save, and he pulled out a couple of good ones. I can't remember exactly who. I think one shot was from, is it James? I'm not too sure. I could be wrong on that one, but there was one shot. Other than that, I think it wasn't a great half. Let's face it, it wasn't. It was one of them boring games. So it's just, fortunately, it did pick up in the second.
Joanne, who listens to us all the time or watches all the time. Hello, Joanne. I hope you're well. She made the journey up all the way from Surrey and didn't get in until gone 2:30 in the morning, I expect. The real issue was the real issue was the midfield, which is so negative. We have a midfield who don't serve the forwards and don't get back to cover the back four. And we've said this before with regards to Louise giving away penalties and stuff like that. And if you look at it in the Watford game, the midfield is just all over the place. There was gaping holes in front of the defence again, saying that Guendouzi was brilliant, but just wasn't getting through to the forward line enough. Very frustrating. Thought we edged it, but there were two very average sides. You know what? The final line on that message is testament to where we are now. I thought there were two very average sides. I
was going to say towards the end of this, it was a fair result for two very poor teams at the moment.
Shows how far we have fallen behind. It really does. You think 15 years ago, these two were winning the Premier League like alternating. It was like first, second. You look how far it's come. And I know Chelsea and Man City have spent money. I get that. But Liverpool have really, really overtaken us now. And we are so far behind them, and City is unreal. And that goes for both clubs. I think if you look at the players that were out there on the pitch and you're looking at the players who should be leaders, I thought there was only Saka and Guendouzi that could have walked off that pitch holding their heads up high, and possibly Aubameyang with his great finish, because that was a really underrated finish. A lot of people didn't appreciate how hard that was to do, to flick that over De Gea. Apart from them three, I'm really struggling at the moment. I didn't think Callum Chambers was terrible, but apart from that, I'm really struggling. For all the others, for me, bang average.
I'm sorry, I'm going to beg to differ on that one. I thought Chambers had a really good game. His first 15 minutes in the game wasn't great, I must admit, but after he got that yellow card, he sort of, I think he just picked his head up and thought, no, I'm going for this. And I thought he had a really decent game.
That did worry me, the yellow card, I must admit. That did worry me. And then obviously he did really well after that.
Yeah, he did. He, like I say, the first 15 minutes after that yellow card, I think he sort of picked himself up and thought, hang on, he's dropped his head a bit. He dropped the ball, basically, by bringing James down like he did. But after that, he had a really good game. He didn't really put much of a foot wrong after that.
Sorry, go on.
What I was going to say was Torreira, I thought he had a very, very difficult job. I think it was, after watching it back, I thought he had a bad game. He did have a bad game, but his job was basically surround Pogba. Now, you got to remember that Torreira's 5'5", Pogba's, 6'4". It's a bit of a mismatch. So it was a stupid thing really to do. And he struggled against Pogba before, I think, during a Uruguayan and France match. So putting him up against Pogba, I think that was a stupid thing to do, and it showed. After watching the game back, I think that's the difficult job he had. So I think it's a bit unfair on Torreira and a bit of a criticism on him. I've seen a couple of times. I've seen throughout the last couple of days. I do think that's a bit unfair because he had a momentous job to do, which unfortunately he didn't do very well. But who's going to do?
This situation worries me the most with Unai Emery because Lucas Torreira and Granit Xhaka, it is not working. I don't know what he's trying to do there. They've swapped positions. Granit Xhaka is now the anchor in midfield, and Torreira is now playing more as an 8.
Correct. That was definitely anchor, wasn't
it? Anchor again, mate. Yes. Anchor
I'll tell
again.
you what. After watching the game back again, we didn't realise in the stands. Well, I didn't really see it in the stands, to be honest with you. And Xhaka dropping his head when McTominay hit that shot. I could have slapped him all over the place.
Now that shot. Now I do agree with you. When I first saw it, I came along and on the message group that we came along and said there was a couple of comments I made, and the two comments I made was, first of all, Xhaka's dropped his head again, but I think it might have been Max or somebody like that came along and said there was a deflection of, I think it was Socrates.
Yeah.
So they I'm not a Xhaka fan, but give him some sort of element of credit on there. But
the problem is when you drop your head, you're not looking where the ball's going, and
it doesn't look good, does it?
Issue.
Whatever.
That's the massive issue. He's not looking where the ball is, and that's the main issue there. And he didn't have a great game anyway.
No, he didn't. Listen, 58 minutes in, Aubameyang, very cool finish. The lino flagged for offside.
Terrible. That linesman all game was terrible. Absolutely terrible.
What's he thinking there?
Oh, God, I don't know, but he didn't really come across on the TV very well, and I think obviously Joanne was there with us. The fans were screaming from when he was caught offside. As soon as he was caught offside, the fans were screaming for VAR for ages. So it didn't really come across on the TV because, like I say, I recorded it and watched it back.
I think Maguire was by the corner flag counting his money, his 80 grand a week, and that's what delayed him from getting back because Maguire was played him well onside. But VAR came good in the end, and we done all right on there. The game fizzled out to a nothing. Man United had a few chances. I think there was
Saka had a chance, didn't he?
Saka had a chance.
Goal, which actually deflected for a corner. I thought he should have put it in, but it actually did deflect off for a corner. But after that, I don't think we have a shot after that, did we? I think Nelson had one, we trickled into his hands.
We did start to gain momentum after the goal, and it was looking really positive, but it just sort of fizzled out after about 5-10 minutes, and it was just a shame. If we kept on that momentum, I think we could have really taken that game. I think we could have won it. But again, it just sort of fizzled out into nothing. And then when Reiss Nelson come on, again, I'm not going to judge him too much because he come on quite late on the game, but he had that shot, but he was more like a pass back.
It was.
Richard Butler has just put up a comment on here on the side, and the wrong one's going to come up. I'll bring that back in a second. Richard put up, it's the worst United Arsenal game I've seen, and he's been watching them for 40 years. Shocking.
I'm going to disagree there. I'm not going to say that's the worst Arsenal United game I've ever seen.
No, there is the aid too. But as a footballing performance, it definitely wasn't what we would want to watch. I think, again, referring back to our own message group that we talk about, I think I said it was like watching Newcastle versus Burnley. And if it was Monday night football, you just wouldn't bother watching it under normal circumstances. So,
like I said earlier, it's basically it's a fair result for the teams that we both are at the minute in Man United and Arsenal. It was a fair result, and it just shows, like Dan said earlier as well, it just shows how far back we've come, or how far we've dropped.
It's worrying when Saka of 18 and Guendouzi of 20 are our two best players. That's what worries me the most.
Dan, I was gonna put you because on that. You come along and said about how far, and Mike touched on it there, how far we've come back from the likes of Man City and the likes of Liverpool. Now, if you look at the social media, maybe not today, and we might refer to it again. If you look at the media today, they're not very as glowing as they normally would be. But Tottenham, I think I touched on it before. I think they're at the top of the curve on the way down, and we might be. Are we on the way up? Are we stumbling? Are we? And don't take this the wrong way, please, Gooners. Are they currently better than us?
Who's that? Sorry.
Do you know what you talk about Spurs? Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know what's funny? I actually think that what Spurs are doing now is similar to what Arsenal were doing 6 or 7 years ago. They've moved to a new stadium. They're not buying anyone. They can't afford anyone. Their contracts are running down. The players are unsettled. The manager's getting stick. Sounds similar? Yeah, it does. They've got loads of stadium debt. So I actually think that it's quite funny to watch them because everyone was giving it to Arsenal. And do you know what was different? Was we was getting top 4 and we was actually winning 3 FA Cups in 5 years. And Tottenham haven't done anything. And before that, we'd won the league. Tottenham haven't won the league. So let's just laugh at Tottenham when they deserve it. Because like Scunny said to me yesterday, the media absolutely love them. It doesn't matter if you don't support Tottenham. Darren Goff doesn't support them, but he loves them on TalkSport. You've got other media pundits that absolutely love Tottenham. It doesn't matter what team they support. I can't see why. I would say that we're similar to them now at the moment because the way that we're playing, so we can't laugh too hard, but it's always quite easy to laugh at Spurs. What I will say about the Man City and the Liverpool situation is we can, if Unai Emery does sort these problems out, which are the question marks I have over him, if he does sort them out, look at what Liverpool have done in 3 or 4 years under Klopp. Klopp has sorted that team out. He's looked at what he's needed, and most importantly, he was backed. If we get into the Champions League and we get backed and we allow the guys up front upstairs who we have a little bit more trust in now to back Unai Emery, there is nothing to stop us from doing what Liverpool have done in the next couple of years. That's my opinion. We've got players there that are good going forward. If we sort out the defensive midfield issue and the centre-half issues, I think we're halfway there and we'll be able to compete.
And is there another issue that we need to sort out? Pepe, he is... What has he played? He didn't start the first 2 games of the season. He's played. We're 7 games in, so he's played 5 games. I think 5 full 90 minutes, and he is coming under some serious scrutiny by people. Again, Emery is coming under scrutiny as well. I'm not going down that route just yet. We've type of covered that for now. But Pepe has come under a lot of scrutiny, and you look at like Henry took 8-9 games. I think it was Southampton away. He scored his first goal. Didn't score a goal in Highbury till nearly 9 or 10 games into the season, and people are jumping. Is that the old keyboard? Is that what it is?
Oh, 100%, 100%. I have absolutely been disgusted at our own fans of how quickly they've turned on Pepe, and like you said, he's had 5 games and it's Manchester United away. It's always going to be a tough game no matter what, and it was absolutely slinging it down. It's like this guy's come from the French League One. He's probably never seen rain like that before in his life, and it's Manchester United away. Whether it's a poor team or not, they're always going to turn up for it, and they do. And we haven't got the team that a lot of people think that we have. It's just disgusting how people are doing it, and it's all come down to keyboard warriors. It's like put the keyboards down and watch telly or something and just do one. I'm trying to do it without swearing now.
Well, this is what annoys me about Arsenal fans in general, because it's not just him we've done it with, man. It's not just him that we have done it with. They've done it with a lot of people. Now, I will start to question how many games we need to give him. because he is a lot of money, and I think that's the problem. He's come with a big price tag. But
I
Arsenal
think
fans
10.
do himself no favours whatsoever. They always do this. If a player needs confidence, don't come to Arsenal fans because they'll slate you. And that's exactly what they've done with every single player that we spent big money on. And that is why it takes them time. We are the hardest fans to please at sometimes, in my opinion. And we don't do ourselves any favours. We've got a lot of fickle fans out there. We've got a lot of fickle football fans, but a lot of them are Arsenal fans. And some of them are deluded. We need to give this guy time. He's come from the French league. He's still not had Lacazette or Aubameyang to link up with. I'm actually not too impressed with his link-up play at the moment with Aubameyang. He was one of the worst players on the pitch, along with Kolasinac, in my opinion, who I thought was terrible again. But Pepe, for me, needs a goal in open play, and then let's see what his confidence does, and then let's judge him after that. We can't judge him after 7 games. It's too early.
It's not even 7, is it? It's 5 games. It's
Exactly.
This is what I mean. It's disgusting how he's getting, like I say, the posts I've seen on Facebook are absolutely disgusting. And I'm just not happy with it at all. Just give the kid a break. He's still a young lad. He's still adapting to the Premier League. It's just not worth it.
And Ben Bennett had put up a post, a comment a few minutes ago that he shouldn't be getting the stick he's getting. This is where the fan base gets so impatient. It's a better league. Don't shatter the boy's confidence. The boy can come good. But I've got on the screen now from Richard Butler. Stop comparing Henry, Bergkamp with Pepe. They might have taken a while to score the first goal, but they showed the quality from day one. Pepe struggling to just do the basics. Look at Saka. Saka, he's 18. He's quality. Richard, he has got a point. But
not really.
It's got a point.
I don't know. I'm going to disagree. I'm sorry. I'm jumping in here, lads. I disagree with that. Again, Saka, he is looking absolutely quality. But you got to remember, this kid is grown up in the UK. He's had this all the time. He's grown up round a Premiership team. Where you look at, like I say, when you look at Pepe again, he's come from League One. I don't know where he come from before that. I'm not entirely sure, but. This is what we were saying a minute ago. Stop being so impatient. There's no need for it. And I'm not sticking it just Richard there. I'm comparing it with everyone. I'm not just slating. I'm not just going and making a beeline for him at all. But it's just just give the kid a bit of time, give him a bit of a break, and just let him settle in. Like I say, Saka has grown up through Arsenal. He's come from our youth team, so he's seen it. He's done it. He's been in the weather. He's seen the pitches. He's been on the pitches. He's grown up with a lot of the players that were in the Man United squad last night. So he's played with them players already. So you got to look at it at that point as well.
I think as well, Pepe. Richard said he showed no quality from day one. I actually think he has shown some great technical ability from day one. I just think he hasn't had that breakthrough or that goal. I know he scored a penalty, but he hasn't scored an open play. And also with Saka being top quality, Saka's got no pressure on him whatsoever. Saka's an 18-year-old lad who's come through. Pepe's got £72 million on his shoulders that he's got to do it every single week. And at the moment, he's not. And I totally agree. And listen, I'm the first to let people know when there is not a player doing well, because I look at players like Mustafi and Xhaka who have not been performing for 4 seasons. Now I can get on their back because they haven't done it for 4 seasons. I'm not going to get on a lad's back because they haven't done it for 4 games. That's just my opinion.
Right, there's been a couple of other comments come up on the chat, and there's one about Saka doesn't have a £72 million price tag, which you touched on, Dan. That was from Ben. Tom Bromley also said Pepe's a passenger. He's absolutely crap every time he's seen him. Richard pipes back up again, and I don't mean that in a derogatory way, but Richard comes along and says football is football. Pepe should be able to control the ball. And pass to a teammate and shoot on goal. Where is he from? And no excuses. Does anybody not think? I thought when I first saw Pepe, I thought he had good ball control, and I thought he was a little bit, maybe not as good as, because obviously the guy brought us back from Chimchimney-Roo. I thought he's a little bit Kanu-esque in the sense that of the way he can keep the ball to his foot. Do you understand what I mean? God, don't ruin me. Don't ruin me, boys.
Oh no.
No,
What
listen.
have we come to?
I thought he was technically very good. I see where Fergus is coming from there. And like I said, I think he did show some quality. He had some good touches. He was technically gifted at Anfield. Unfortunately, he missed that sitter, didn't he? Yeah, that wouldn't have done his confidence any good. If that would have gone in, it could be a completely different Pepe. I'm willing to give the guy a chance. It doesn't rule out the fact that he was not very good on Monday night. I totally get that. And I'm with Melina there. And Melina's just commented saying, and shout out to Melina, by the way. Need to get her on here soon. Pepe needs
you're
to
coming on here soon, Melina.
Yeah, Melina needs to come on here. Give him the ball to run with, and he'll shine. Right now, he's in Oba's shadow and feels pressured to me. I would agree with that. I think that Aubameyang is not working so well with Pepe, and that's something that I was hoping to see work. I think when Lacazette gets back on, he's more of a link-up player, and I hope we'll see Pepe shine then.
They're very two similar type players, aren't they? Where they want to be running on the shoulders of the defence. So when you get two players like that, they've never seemed to worked out as together as well as what they should really do. But again, I'm not going to keep repeating myself. Just give the kid a break.
Just to finish up on the Pepe side of things, Ben asks, play Pepe in the next two home games against teams we're expected to beat. They're home, so it should give him a bit more confidence, and is a bit about building confidence, I think.
I agree.
When you look at some of these players.
I agree with Ben.
Arsenal, think about your man of the match. We look at some of the stats. Arsenal, 5. Had more shots on target than Man United. 4. Wow. In the Premier League game, since the first time since 2009, when Man United had 4, we had no shots on target. Saka registered his first 4 goals involvement in just 3 starts for Arsenal in all competitions, with 1 goal and 3 assists. The guy just looks absolute quality. He's raw as, and I nearly did slip. He is raw as hell. He is really raw, but he just looks like he wants to run and run and run and run. Who does he remind you of as a player? If you were to look back at a player at another team or a former Arsenal player, Mike, or Dan, who wants to go first on this one?
I think if I'm to compare him to somebody in the Premier League, it would be quite hard at the moment because he's so young. But when he's on the ball, he could be potentially a Raheem Sterling. That's who he looks like to me. I remember Raheem Sterling at 17 at Liverpool looked exactly the same. He was a raw talent, really quick on the ball, good dribbling ability, quite comfortable when he had players around him. I thought on Monday night I think there was one clip we had 2 or 3 players. He seemed to dink it around all 3 of them and come out with the ball. And that to me looked like he had some agility about him. So if I was to compare him to a player who could potentially be, it'd be Raheem Sterling. There's nobody out there at the moment that I would say would be like him. But he was definitely up there for a shout for man of the match. He wasn't my personal man of the match, but definitely up with a shout of it.
Mike?
Right. I was thinking about this, actually, to be fair. Who could we compare him with? But I was thinking maybe we could compare him to an old Arsenal player in Freddie Ljungberg, to be fair. The way he holds up and the way he does run with the ball. And like you say, when the ball just sticks to his feet, I honestly do think he's going to be that way. And look who's training him.
Yeah. You know, I get what you mean. I get what you mean, yeah.
Because he's very, very similar to the way he plays.
Richard's enjoying this show, isn't he? And we do thank you for your comments. Richard has come along and said Saka reminds him of a young Rocky. Strength, power, and pace.
That's a good shout.
That's a good shout, actually.
Good comparison. Really good comparison.
Yeah, really good, yeah.
It's a good shout. Listen, tomorrow night, we are back in the Europa League, which is obviously the Premier League European competition to have in North London, because there's no point in having any other competitions in North London, because any other team in Middlesex or the North London region has not won a game in their new stadium since they've been there in the Champions League. So there's no point about talking about the Champions League. Let's talk about Arsenal versus Standard Liège. For me, there's 2 good things about this game. First of all, little Joseph, my grandson, he's coming with me to his first European game, and I offered to say, "Hey, do you want your dad to take you?" And he went, "No, I'd rather go with you, Grandad, because we meet up with the boys." No. It wasn't meant. It wasn't meant anything. He says, "Oh, we meet up with the boys, and the boys all make a fuss." Like Trev's made a fuss before, and Potsy and your dad, and everyone knows Joseph now, so they all shake his hand. All right, mate. And he is one of the lads, isn't he? He is one of the lads.
He is, but he's going to be shocked at how different it is from Spurs.
Yeah. It will be a big shock. It will be a big shock. The other thing is as well, my hometown is Athlone Town in Ireland, and Athlone won I think it was the Irish League Cup back in 1981-82, and we ended up in what would have been is now the Europa League, which is called the Cup Winners' Cup. And my uncle played for Athlone Town, and my secondary school was right by the entrance to St Mel's Park and everything else. And I remember it was a 4 o'clock kickoff in the afternoon or something like that. But my uncle Jelly Keenan played for my hometown in our only ever European fixture, and that was against Standard Liège. So for me, it's just it makes me go a little bit tingly. Sadly, Jelly Anthony is not with us anymore. But looking at the game, looking ahead to the game, Tierney is not going with the Scottish on the European qualifiers or whatever like that to help with their with his recovery. From his injury, so he's not going on the 2020 qualifiers to help with his injury comeback. Arsenal beat Frankfurt 3-0 away in their home opening competition in Group F, where it was full of mostly academy graduates like Willock and Saka, and I think we touched on it earlier. That's probably what we're going to end up seeing. It's maybe even a more youthful side against Standard Liège, wouldn't you thought?
I think it'll be a similar team to the Nottingham Forest. If I'm honest with you, mate. I think the actual game itself, I'm looking forward to it just for that reason. I was so impressed with them on Tuesday night. I think if I was to actually predict a team lineup, it would be pretty much that side that played against Nottingham Forest. I think Tierney will start. I don't know if anyone's seen it, but if you go on Facebook, on the actual Arsenal official Facebook, you'll see Bellerin and Tierney doing a little quick game of like picking questions out of a pot. And their relationship looks fantastic.
It does indeed. I think
we lost him.
I don't know if we totally lost him. I think another transit van has come along and tried to hit his webcam or something like that. But yeah,
stealing his broadband.
He will come back. I'm sure he'll come back in a few minutes. So, Mike, where are you going to watch it? You got BT Sports, or you got to go BT Sports?
I've got Thingy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll say no more.
Yeah.
I've got BT Sports. Yeah.
Yeah.
Here he is.
Oh, what we got?
I'm back.
Oh, here he's coming back. Oh, that's a weird setup. Right, so you're back. So are you coming tomorrow night then, Dan?
Yeah, I'm there, mate. I'm there. I think it's gonna be it's got to be Tierney, Bellerin, and Holding all to start, and that's what I want to see.
Joanne said after your video mishap, you can swear if you want to. She thought it was funny. But Melina, Ben, quite a lot of people have all said the exact same thing. They've all said that Tierney and Bellerin have to start, and the chemistry, as you said, is really, really good. Emery said about he's expected to rotate a lot for the Belgian side, but he said if they deserve to play, give them the chance to play. So, and I think that's a fair comment. Yeah. Finish it up on this one, because we have a couple of other topics that we might discuss. Arsenal have won all 4 encounters against Standard Liège in European competition, scoring 15 goals in the process. Arsenal are looking to win 6 consecutive home European matches, including qualifiers, for the first time at the Emirates. The first time since winning 7 in a row in March 2001, between March 2001 and 2002 at Highbury. So it's another milestone that we're going through, and hopefully we'll see the likes of Chambers and so on. We also have on Sunday, we've got the Bournemouth game, but we'll probably do something separate on that because we'll have no time if we carry on doing this. So looking at the Gooner debate, where's my graphic for the Gooner debate? I was doing quite well actually so far, but yeah, there we go. The Gooner debate. So Barca, they got fined for tapping up Griezmann.
What a joke!
That is
know.
the best. The fines in football are absolutely ridiculous.
I know.
Did you see the one for, is it Huddersfield, who had the Paddy Power strip for the pre-season?
Yeah,
they got a higher fine than, well, they got a hell of a lot higher fine than Barcelona did for tapping up Griezmann.
Yeah, I know.
Do you know what the funniest thing is?
€300? Are they having a laugh?
Do you know what the funniest thing is, mate? Not the fine or the amount, the fact that they actually tried to get it overturned.
They're appealing it.
They're appealing it.
Yeah.
It will cost them more money to appeal it than actually pay it.
It's a joke, mate.
It just makes you laugh, doesn't it? So think the fine. Sorry, go on for.
So if people don't know, it's €300, £293, £65. Yeah. Well, it's probably about £310 by now because like with Brexit and all this sort of stuff going on.
31st of October.
Yeah. But it's just ridiculous. It's going to cost them more money to appeal it. The other things that I got on the list here is Roy Keane commented ahead of the Man United game. and they were reminiscing, and we talked about it earlier about what a fantastic game it was, and what it used to embody. It was always a really, really exciting fixture, and it was like the battle. Whoever won that generally won the league and whatever. But he came along and said, he was asked about Vieira. Vieira, did Man United want to buy him? He said, yeah, he was a target. He was a target of United. But would he have got in to the Man United squad? He was asked into the Man United side. And he said, no, he'd be a squad player. Well,
sorry, I'm going to interrupt you. Out of the three of us, you're the only person who could get away with that accent there.
Well, I am Irish.
I know, that's what I'm saying.
I've just got one of these messed up Mockney accents now. So,
excellent.
Yeah, it's a good job you got a right accent for a change.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I think listening to that, Roy Keane was kind of half joking. He was just half messing about.
It's just a dig, isn't it?
Yeah, he's trying to wind Arsenal up. He knows Patrick Vieira is the toughest opponent he's ever faced. He knows that, and he said it before. He's right that Scholes was probably the best player that he played with, but Vieira would have walked into that Man United side. And do you know what? Watching Vieira and Keane play together, one sent off one week, one sent off the other, I would have been brilliant to watch.
No, he did say because I was watching it myself after I think it was not long after he said that, he was saying there were some of the best some of the best games he's played, and some of the toughest games, and whoever won that battle generally won the game.
Xhaka, captain. We touched on it before. No. We touched on Xhaka, the captain, before. But Mark Partridge asked, why are so many people wanting Holding as a captain? So it's more about, not Xhaka and the alternatives, and a lot of people are going down Holding. Holding's hardly played a game for us in over a year. And yeah, there's arguments to be saying we had a 22 game unbeaten run against all sorts of different minnow sides and stuff in the Europa League last season. But, he's been out of the picture for quite a while. He's shown some promise. But why Holding?
It won't be my first choice, if I'm being honest. I think my first choice would have been Bellerin out of anybody, just because he's an Arsenal man. He's come through the ranks. He's got to where he is, and he's held his place. The only time you never see Bellerin in a team is if he's injured.
Okay.
Unlike some players that we have, but I just can't see anybody else. I can't see personally. I'm in the same boat. I can't understand why Hold. I can see maybe if he gets back in the team, he carries on playing first team constantly, never really out of it, staying away from injuries. Give it 2 or 3 more seasons and see how he is in the back four. And if he's very commanding, then yeah, I can't see why not. But at the moment, I just can't see it.
Dan, anything different?
Shout out to Mark Partridge, by the way. It's my brother-in-law. So if you're watching, Mark, top man.
It's a family occasion, isn't it? This.
Yeah, I know it is, mate. Everyone's joining him, aren't they? Holding for me
It's a
is
family affair.
Thank you.
We have a title.
We do. Holding for me is a future Arsenal captain, but I think he's going to have competition with who's that player, Fergus, in the middle of midfield with all the hair, that side Bob. What's his name? Scunny, can you help me out?
Guendouzi?
There we go. No, it's Guendouzi, mate. Close.
No. I think he's earned the right now for you to say his name properly, Fergus. Come on.
In the last couple of games, yes, I would agree. I would agree.
I think he's shown now against Villa, against Spurs, and against Man United, head and shoulders above the rest. Looks to me like he bosses that midfield. And this is a midfield that, by the way, is not very creative at the moment and that looks pretty bang average and poor. And he looks head and shoulders above anybody in that midfield. Happy to be on the ball, gets given the ball in the most ridiculous of areas at times with players around him, doesn't panic, very casual on the ball. I love Matteo Guendouzi. He's becoming one of my favourite players without a doubt because he's becoming very consistent.
I'm looking forward to seeing what his song's going to be. He deserves one more than anyone at the moment. And if Ceballos can have one without even playing too much of games, I think if anyone deserves a song at the moment, it's definitely Guendouzi.
Absolutely.
I honestly do think, like you say, Holding is going to have a real trouble. If people are going to go for him as captain, he's going to have real trouble with that. And Guendouzi, he showed on Monday a couple of times how much of a leader he could be by waving his arms, telling the team to get back on corners and everything. So, and not only that, he made that clearance as well on Monday with a great headed clearance. So I think he's going to get there. He's definitely going to get there. And like I said before, Fergus, you got to eat some words, mate.
Can I just ask a quick question, Fergus?
And one second, Mike. If I do have to eat my words, I've never said I didn't like Guendouzi. What I've always said is I have been a big critic of him. And I've said, if you're good enough to be in the first team, you should be good enough, rather than people giving the excuse of, oh, he's only 20, he's only young. So if you're good enough, you're good enough. Look at Saka.
Well, you're eating some words, mate. You're backtracking.
I'm not. I am not backtracking. Go back, listen. I've called him Guendouzi. I've called him lots of things, but I'm not eating any words. The guy is showing what he did against Villa. One man, him and Aubameyang led us to victory. We could have gone, well, there should have been a penalty, but he led us to victory. He does show the potential to be a leader, to be a captain, but he is also still a little bit young. But then again, Tony Adams was only 17 when he came on, and he was 21 a captain. So, Paul Ennis type A agrees with you, Mike.
Thank you.
He says I'm backtracking. I am not backtracking. I am just saying I'm a critic. If somebody's good enough to be an elite footballer and they're at that top level, they should be. Now, talking about elite footballers and young players who try and make it, there's a certain player. Just as some credibility. Joanne, thank you very much. She agrees with me. I'm the same. I've been hugely critical, but he's improved this year. Exactly. So we're allowed to...
Someone's not getting in on the joke there, are they?
Do you know what, Fergus? You actually tipped him for your surprise star this season.
I did.
Yeah, I did.
I did, and everyone else laughed at me then as well. But listen, a possible superstar for that could have been for Arsenal. You've got Oxlade-Chamberlain who's been. You got Iwobi that's gone. You've got Walcott that's gone.
Can I just say something quick? as we were saying earlier, as you were just saying about Matteo Guendouzi, about giving him a year, everyone was very critical of him this year, and look how he's come so far this year in all these games. He's come on leaps and bounds. He's already looking like captain material. He's already looking like he's going to be a next big thing. We've give him a year, and people were very critical of him in that year. Why can't we give Pepe that year?
Well said.
Good point.
Well said. Well said. Well said. But looking at youth players that have been through the Arsenal, and we've seen some, and we're looking at some now. There was one particular player who we all watched last night, and he was lent out to Tony Pulis, who made him play with the youth. He was put behind Theo Walcott. He was put behind Aaron Ramsey. Aaron Ramsey maybe had a point to a certain degree, but Theo, the guy, was sold to Werder Bremen with allegedly Bayern Munich's money, and he went and played against an awfully bad team in Middlesex in a beautifully new swanky home, and he put four past the Spurs. North London was a different shade of red last night, but it definitely was red. What did we make of that? And we've only got a few minutes.
Listen, it was, for me, a hilarious game of football. Now, I watch BT Sport when all the goals come in, yeah? So you look at when all of the goals are coming in, 9 of those goals were at White Hart Lane. It was brilliant. And Serge Gnabry, I think, was it Mark Porter? He put on his Facebook, Fergus, I don't know if you saw it, there's a surge of goals down at White Hart Lane. And I just thought that was sensational.
Well, as I've been on a training course, as I said at the start of this, listened to a lawyer discuss all consumer law and stuff like that for 2 days. But one of my colleagues who was with me, David Ellerby, I doubt you're watching this because you're afflicted with the other side of Middlesex disease, and I texted him at 11:30 last night when I finished writing all this stuff up for here, and I texted him, North London is red, and then I came along and I saw him walk in today for the training course, and I went, "God, that's a surge of enthusiasm, isn't it?" And I kept on using phrases throughout the day, like, "Oh well, we Gnabried that opportunity, didn't we?" And I just started doing all that sort of stuff. Yeah, but it was it was good. It was good.
I could understand why he went from Arsenal at the time, because Wenger was playing Joel Campbell, Theo Walcott, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, Danny Welbeck, players like that ahead of him. So I totally got why Gnabry didn't get a chance. Where I feel he could have. I think there was a game against Swansea where he really played well. But for me, yeah, unbelievable last night. His finishing was wicked. He was rapid, really direct, real threat going forward. But Tottenham were dire, weren't they? I mean, they were absolutely dreadful. It was something seriously wrong with Spurs. What a shame.
No, Carol's got it right. Carol Hutchins says,
hey, shout out to Carol. Shout out to Carol. Sits next to me in season ticket. Nice one, Carol. It did go with Spursy indeed. Jesus.
And they've got the early kickoff on Saturday. They're playing Brighton away on Saturday.
Brighton? Is it Brighton? Yeah.
Yeah, they're at Brighton. We got Bournemouth.
Go on, Brighton.
Yeah. But listen, there's a lot of stuff going on there. You know what? I don't know who saw more action. Ericsson's. Let's just leave it there, yeah? Listen, you have been listening to Guns and Yellow Ribbons. We're going to get in trouble
for the last time
if we carry on. Listen, we are going to be moving on to YouTube after Christmas, so
possibly. After this show, probably not.
Maybe if we don't get banned. But follow us. We're Guns and Yellow Ribbons on YouTube, so do follow us, like us, hit the little bell in the corner. But we'll also be posting on here as well. So we are on Facebook, we're on Twitter at Guns and Ribbons. We mentioned Ben and we mentioned Ruth. Have a look at their stuff, have a look at their websites, and see what we are, what they're all about. That was a big. Listen, Dan, Mike, thank you very much. You have been listening to Guns and Yellow Ribbons, an Arsenal podcast by Arsenal fans for Arsenal fans. Only one last thing to say. Who's taking it this week?
Go on, Scunny.
I best not. I've just got myself into big trouble here.
You know what?
I don't think I'm going to be allowed back on live TV.
Can you put
live on here.
Ferguson? You put Melina's comment up because that is good.
Let me have a quick look. Bring that on. Melina's comment. I just
Put it up. Melina's comment's good. Put it up.
Right, Melina, go on. You read the comment out.
What's the difference between Snow White and Tottenham? Snow White had an excuse of falling asleep to let 7 in. Love it, Melina. Love it.
What a night!
Oh, and who is Joanne's comment aimed at? I hope it's going to be aimed at Mike because I said nothing. She said you're going to get sued in the morning.
I don't know what you're talking about. I didn't say nothing.
Listen, people, thank you very much. I really appreciate you all tuning in. As I said before, we do this for fun, nothing more than that, and just keep joining us every week. Thank you very much. Up the arse.
Cheers, guys.